Hi, I'm Randy Nelson. I'm the off-road technical trainer for Polaris Industries, and today we're going to install the extreme duty bumper on this Polaris RS1. Before we begin, we want to make sure we read these instructions and check to make sure all parts and tools are accounted for. We want to make sure we retain these instructions for future reference and parts ordering information. I'm going to go ahead and remove the front mounted tow hook here. We're going to remove the two bolts here. There is a retention plate on the back side of the front frame here. Want to make sure we hold on to that and don't lose that. We're using a 15 millimeter socket. Get these removed. It's nice to keep your hand on the back side of the frame here just to hold that plate in place so it doesn't drop under the front gear case. I'll go ahead and finish removing the last bolt here. And we'll hold on to that stuff. You can see the retention plate on the inside. That's the plate we don't want to knock off, otherwise it'll fall underneath the gear case and it's a little challenging to get it back up into position. Go ahead and remove the hood from the vehicle, so we'll just loosen up these quarter turns. And we'll remove the hood from the vehicle just by sliding it forward and up. I'm going to be removing the front fascia, so to begin this process, we're going to make sure we disconnect our headlights. So both of them, want to make sure we get those disconnected out of the way. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the 6 fasteners and the 2 push darts from the front fascia and remove that from the vehicle. Went ahead and remove the front storage tub from the vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the battery and then remove the battery hold down bracket here. And then we're going to remove the battery storage tub from the vehicle where we can access the bracket on the front side of the vehicle where we can attach our bumper hardware to. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the battery. We want to make sure that we disconnect the ground cable first and then the positive cable. And that was an 8 millimeter socket that I used to remove the battery cables. And then a 10 millimeter socket to remove the battery hold down bracket. Remove that. Pull that out. And that just works itself up and out. Set that aside. Pull the battery out from the vehicle. Take the battery out. And then we're going to remove the battery box. Now the battery box has 2 T40s on the top side and then 2 T40 fasteners on the bottom. Once those fasteners are removed, we can lift up the battery box, and you may have a clip on one side for the all-wheel drive connection. We just need to make sure we disconnect that. And we'll slide the battery box out through the access hole and we'll set it aside. So we're going to install the support bracket in the vehicle. So to do this, we're going to need the support bracket and then the backing plate that has the weld and nuts on there. Now there's 2 spots to this backing plate here and to the bracket. So we want to make sure that the support bracket, the slotted portion, is the one that's going to be sitting flush on the horizontal surface, and then the whole part of the brackets can be facing on the vertical surface in the vehicle. And when we reinstall the backing plate, it's going to come from the bottom side like this, and then our screws are going to come in from the top side. So I'm going to go ahead and install this into the vehicle. I'm going to install that like that, and then I'm going to slide my support bracket underneath, and I'm just going to get my screws started here. So the last thing to do here on this front support bracket is install the bolts on the front side, and that's going to be a bolt and a nut. We're just going to send that through the support bracket and then put the nut on the back side. And then we'll do the same thing on the other hole here. And then we'll come back and tighten everything down with a 15 millimeter socket and wrench. Go ahead and reinstall the front fascia on the vehicle here. Want to make sure everything lines up first. Like that. And we'll get our screws and we'll get those started. We're just reusing the screws we took out before. Just gonna start them right now, and then I'll come back and tighten them all the way down. And then lastly, the 2 push rivets on the top side of the plastic here. Go ahead and install those. Gonna go ahead and hang the bumper onto the vehicle. So remember, we got to reuse the tow hook and the fasteners that we took out. So when we put that on there, we want to make sure we don't knock off that backing plate. So the best thing to do here is to lay the bumper kind of up into position, and then with one hand kind of holding that backing plate, and you kind of put your shoulder into it to kind of hold it in place, and then grab your fasteners here, your bolt and then your hook, and get those started. So we'll go ahead and install the other fastener down here. Another bolt, we'll get that one started. We're not going to torque these down quite yet. We're just going to get them started because we're going to need a little movement on the bumper, rocking backwards and forwards to get the bolt started on the back side. We got the bolt started in the front bumper here. So then we're just going to come from one side. And this is going to be a slow process. You're going to have to flip your wrench and just slowly start to work the bolt in the bumper. So we'll go ahead and do this on both sides, and then we'll torque them down the specifications. I'm going to go ahead and reconnect the headlights back up, and then I'm going to go ahead and install the battery box and the battery and tie down. Reinstall the battery terminals back onto the battery. We want to make sure that we connect the positive terminal first, then the negative terminal. And then we'll come back and torque down these battery bolts down the specifications. And once that's finished, we'll go ahead and reinstall the storage tub and the hood, and we'll be finished with this bumper installation.